Welcome back to the Navy Sports Magazine. As always, we're presented by the Navy Federal Credit Union. Big week for Navy volleyball coming up this week with head coach Paco Labrador. And obviously, coach, when you have so many experienced parts exit the program all at one time, it's opportunity for a lot of other players, many of whom are playing increased roles for the first time. You guys are continuing to chase it. You were almost right there, obviously, with Loyola. Do you feel like you're getting closer to where you want to be, even from a rotation standpoint of consistent players right now, as you obviously embark in a big week where you go to New York?
Yeah, we're definitely getting some consistency, certainly from some players, which is really nice. So, we're seeing Ava Toppin through the middle, who has been able to put together some dangerous games where she's scoring balls and she's doing a lot of really nice things for us offensively. So that's been great. Arlie Hansen has been setting a really good offense, and she's actually one of our top defensive players too. She's really using her length really well on defense and able to keep balls off the floor. So really like what we're seeing out of her, and Lily's really locked in some nice numbers on the right side too. So, there are some people that are really stabilizing themselves. We always have Hannah Hoover, who's our definite rock, in the back row. She does everything for us defensively. So no doubt, there is some stabilizing happening. But you've watched enough volleyball to know that there is a nuance to connection between six players on the court, and there is a timing and a rhythm. I think volleyball, if you do the math, it's the most amount of players in the smallest space of any sport out there. And so the six players who are in that 900 square feet have to have time together to connect, to try to feel out like where everybody is going. It's such a fast game that there's almost like an intuition that you have to develop with your teammates. And every day we're getting a little bit better at those little intuition games. And we've been the beneficiaries the last 3 years of having a team that, man, they were all in the same mind for so long that and they made it look really easy. And so we're learning about that for sure.
How do you explain a player like Lily Lutz, who obviously had to bide and wait a lot of time for an opportunity and certainly earn the opportunity that she has gotten from you this year, but seems to be showing that hunger and taking more and more each time as you and the staff have given it to her?
Yeah, I mean it's a success story, and it's kind of what the Naval Academy is all about. She had a role to play for the time that she was on this roster for the last couple of years, and she played her role, but never wavered from what the ultimate purpose is, and that is to contribute and get better and get stronger and develop your skills every single day. And so, she didn't lose heart, and she continued to work hard in the weight room, and she continued to do everything she needed to do in the off season to be prepared to play. And so now, she's hitting a really nice ball on the right side, a good physical player. And she hasn't stopped yet. I mean, we are still working with her on some blocking moves. And even last week, she installed a couple of new sort of off-speed plays that can score when she gets into certain situations. And so, when you get somebody like Lily, who's a smart player, who is a dedicated player, when her number was called, I'm just happy for her that she stepped up.
It's rare too now in our genre, if you will, of college athletics. I mean, obviously the Naval Academy education is certainly a huge selling point, but sometimes when players aren't necessarily getting that opportunity and clearly sitting behind other great players that you've had in the program over the last few years, sometimes a player can lose patience. When you see a player that's willing to do this, what does it tell you about that player's character that they are in on team, and that type of thing, in addition to their own playing time, is still very important to them?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're alluding to is this transfer portal where you have people who, if they're not getting playing time wherever they are, they just find some other place where they can get guaranteed playing time, or where some coach gives them some assurances. And to be honest, we coach at a place where it's not about you, right? None of the players say if it's not about me, then I quit, right? If it's not about me, then I'm leaving. We're a place of selfless service. We're a place where we're going to play the role that we need to play when we need to play it. And so we don't have a lot of people who are, full of themselves. And we don't have a lot of people who think if I don't get mine, then I'm out of here. So we have people who are, what does this team need today from me to contribute to the betterment of the program? They learn it from day one in plebe summer. It's shipmate, self.
Right.
And so, we have the same thing on our teams, right? So it's about teammate, self. And so if we keep that culture, we're always going to be successful, regardless of if people are getting playing time or not getting playing time.
I'm not sure there's tougher back-to-back in your league than playing Army and Colgate. Doesn't matter what the order is. Obviously, there's great emotion attached to the Army game. It's the star match coming up this week. Even when a team that maybe is struggling to gain the results that they're hungry for, having a marquee like this week, does that pretty much sell itself for the players? And I guess maybe if it doesn't, maybe they need to look a little deeper inside, I guess. But does the marquee almost help you a little bit this week when you look up and they know it's Army?
I mean, we've had you get this weekend circled on your calendar months ago. So the team has been dialed into this particular week, from probably last spring. So we knew that we're going to have the star match. We're going to be up at Gillis Fieldhouse. It's going to be on a Friday. We're going to have to turn around and drive 3.5 hours to get up to Hamilton to be able to play likely the number 1 team in the conference the next day on short rest and on a quick turnaround and a little bit of a bus ride. But it's not the first time that we've had to do some back-to-backs, and it's not the first time that we've had to get up for 2 matches within 24 hours. And I think the team knows how to recover really well. I think the team knows, we're going to drain the tank on Friday night and then recover like crazy and then, reset our sights and drain the tank again on Saturday against Colgate. So, it's the toughest without question. It's going to be our toughest weekend of the season. And I think I could probably say it's the toughest weekend for any team in the Patriot League. It's not easy to play your big rivalry game and then turn around the next day and have to play the number 1 team or likely the number 1 team in the conference. So we're prepared for it. We know it's coming. So we just prepare this week and know that it's just about giving everything you got on every night.
You and I've talked about this over the years here within the league. This is obviously an incredible sport. I think anybody that takes the time to invest watching it and learning about it, seeing how incredibly skilled the athletes that play this sport, both men and women. But the depth of it now, I'm not sure it's ever been better. We've got more women investing in that time leading up before they get to college now, working on their games, playing in competitive environments. How exciting is it as a coach to see that pool of players just continue to increase right now in this sport?
I love it. I mean, we've got a lot of things to thank for it. I mean, I think the more coverage, so thanks to you guys and ESPN Plus and a lot of the networks that are now putting more volleyball on TV, we're getting more young eyes that are seeing, the top level players. If I were to ask 10 years ago at a camp, who are your hero players? Who are the ones that you want to be like, right? People now will be able to tell you some players from the national team or some players from Nebraska, or some players from Stanford or players from the Naval Academy, right? And so I think that's a big difference when you get younger females who now get a chance to see what volleyball is all about and how it can be a really fun sport. And social media helps a lot too, right? So they're on their phones and they're seeing highlights a lot more too. But even just locally, there's a small, well, it used to be small rec team here in the area, Bays Volleyball. And, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when I got here, they maybe had, 20, 30, 40 kids trying out, and it's 200 plus now. I mean, there's just so much desire for it at the 10s level, the 11s level, the 12s level now, even in the Indianapolis area, that it's just great. It's what we want to see as coaches.
Yeah, no, our Parks and Recreation program in Anne Arundel County that I obviously have a pulse on, it's never been bigger. I mean, we've never had more teams participating in it. So certainly it's an exciting time there. In your opinion, why has Colgate ascended obviously to the top of a very talented list and obviously take us inside the emotion of what this Friday match is all about. 2 distinctly different environments, but obviously a lot of quality on both courts this weekend.
Yeah, Colgate has done a really good job. The last couple of years, they've brought in some really good recruits and not just recruited the talent and then let them just be who they were in high school, but I've seen how they've been able to cultivate their skills and make them better. Every year they already have talented recruits, but then their training system over there makes them better. And they're also the beneficiary of, I think, their top, I would say most of their number one best players over the last couple of years have stayed for a fifth year. And so if you've got your number one player coming back every year, your conference player of the year coming back another year, or your setter of the year coming back another year, those fifth years, they just hand down more wisdom and they sort of set a tone in the gym so that it's a sort of self-fulfilling. Now the freshmen are around these fifth years, around these graduate students, and being able to see, what it really takes from somebody. So that's a big advantage for them up there. They've been able to hold on to their kids for those extra years, which has been a big deal for them.
I was going to say, there's no doubt about that. The more experience you have, the more sets you have played, makes you a better player. There's no doubt about that. Appreciate you taking so much time for us this morning. Safe travels this week to you and your team, and continue working out there. We know success is right around the corner. Appreciate the time this morning.
Oh, I always love talking to you, Pete. Thanks so much.